Hello, Marvel fans, comic geeks, and all nerds in between. My name is Megan, and today I'm coming to you with another character breakdown of someone who has been a very big deal in Daredevil Born Again, and I didn't see it coming. So, with how much hype Daredevil Born Again Season 2 has created, we have to talk about some of the characters in the show because their comic counterparts are somehow even more interesting than them. In this episode, I want to talk about Buck. Honestly, Buck didn't leave a lasting impression for me in the first season. He just kind of seemed like Fisk's yes man. And once you're coming off Fisk having Wesley as his right hand guy, then it's really hard to live up to those standards. But now, I think he's captured what made Wesley so diabolical and even surpassed it in this second season. So let's talk about his history in Marvel Comics. So, Buck first appeared in Marvel Comics in Daredevil number 250 in September of 1987 and was created by Ann Nocenti and John Romita Jr. Buck was basically a top-tier covert agent for the U.S. government, handling secret missions nobody really wanted to know about and holding the highest clearance possible. Also, he goes by Bullet in the comics, so if I say Bullet, that is Buck. He had a young son named Lance who was kind of obsessed with the idea that World War III was right around the corner, which I'm not going to judge your parenting. That's not on me, but I do think you should check out therapy. The problem was Buck was almost never home. His official residence wasn't even the same as Lance's, so Lance was often left alone and would even lie to cover for his dad. Lance's mom, Gloria, didn't exactly step up either, which really frustrated Buck. At one point, a U.S. Army general working on behalf of Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, you may have heard of him, assigned Buck to a shady operation targeting an environmental group called Save the Planet. The plan was for someone else to bomb their headquarters, then have Buck swoop in and arrest the terrorist, who would later walk free thanks to legal loopholes, the Kingpin way. That plan got messed up when Matthew Murdock, who was secretly Daredevil, but he was not in costume at this time, he was just Matthew Murdock, caught the guy instead. He ran into Bullet, who claimed he'd make sure the guy went to jail, but Murdock could tell that he was lying thanks to his enhanced senses. They fought, but in the end, Murdock let Bullet take the suspect anyway. Not long after, Buck killed a man using toxic waste and framed the environmentalists. And although Buck realized Daredevil was the same guy he'd fought before, he still didn't know his real identity. When the cops showed up, Bullet actually confessed. But one phone call later and all the charges disappeared and he walked away free. Later, Buck teamed up with other criminals recruited by the assassin Typhoid for an attack on Daredevil that nearly took him out. Wanting payback, Daredevil tracked down Lance, helped him deal with some bullies, and earned his trust. Lance invited Daredevil home and tried to convince him not to fight with his dad. Buck walked in, assumed Daredevil was threatening his son, and then he just automatically attacked. Lance cleared things up, and Buck admitted he actually liked Daredevil. He'd only fought him because he was paid to. Daredevil basically decided the whole thing just wasn't worth it and left. Buck kept working for Kingpin, including a job where he had to stop a man named Mr. Zhang from giving info and a highway map to reporter Ben Urich, since it would mess up Kingpin's plans to profit off cheap land. Buck roughed Zhang up, got the map, and shut things down. But Daredevil stepped in again, fought Buck publicly, got the map back, and boosted his own reputation. Buck backed off, but warned that he wouldn't go easy next time. After Daredevil eventually took down Kingpin and claimed control of Hell's Kitchen, a small-time dealer named Mikey J tried to use Buck as a figurehead to take over. They met up with their crews, including Mikey's associate Lynn, who mocked Buck for not even having an online presence and tried to shut the whole thing down. Daredevil crashed a meeting, wiped out the gangsters, saved Lynn, and convinced her to leave that life behind. Buck's career kept getting messier and messier. He joined the Assassin's Guild to fight X-Force and got stabbed in the chest by Warpath. Whether he died or not was unclear since a healer named Elixir was patching people up right after. Later, an FBI agent named Joy recruited him to help track Bullseye, offering to restore his revoked U.S. citizenship if he helped. Even though he was older and more seasoned, Buck was still in insane shape. At one point, he literally wrestled a tiger in Colombia and killed it with a chokehold, so if that tells you anything. After sneaking back into the U.S., Buck was captured and tortured by Bullseye, who was looking for someone called Shotgun. Bullseye was also kidnapped and seemed to kill Lance, the son. But, despite that, Bullet still ended up working alongside Bullseye later when they were both hired by the Stromwinds to cause chaos in Hell's Kitchen. So, we love you, Lance, I guess. I don't know. Eventually, Buck went off-grid, living in a remote cabin with his dog, Mitch. What he didn't know was that Mitch had bonded with the Phage symbiote. When Carnage reached out through the symbiote hive mind, Phage took over, attacked Buck, tore out his throat, and partially ate him before bonding with him instead. Under Phage's control, Buck joined the Friends of Humanity and became head of security for Senator Peter Crane. Carnage sent him to kill Andy Benton, and he nearly succeeded, even beating her when Anti-Agent Venom showed up, who is Flash Thompson. He threw her through a wall and impaled her, but she survived by bonding with a new symbiote called Silence and used it to critically injure Phage, sending Buck plummeting to what looked like his death. But Buck is a bad guy, and do they ever stay dead? No, they don't. Buck survived, again. He recovered, got arrested, and ended up in prison until Daredevil broke him out and convinced him to join the Fist. During that time, Daredevil revealed that Lance was actually still alive, that Buck had secretly hidden him after the Bullseye incident. Later on, Buck joined a group of lower-tier villains recruited by Hank Pym as a part of a new anti-Ultron team called the Lethal Legion. And since then, we haven't heard much about him. So, you understand his history, but what exactly can he do? Unlike his live-action counterpart, this Buck is actually powered. So what exactly can he do? Buck's got a bunch of low-level superhuman abilities that make him way more dangerous than a normal person. He can move insanely fast, way faster than even the best of human athletes, both in running and general movement. On top of that, he's super strong, with enough power to lift around 1,000 pounds without much trouble. His stamina is also on an entirely different level. His muscles don't build up fatigue toxins as quickly as a regular person's, so he can keep going for hours before he even starts to slow down. He's also incredibly tough. His body can take a lot more punishment than a normal human, probably tied to his enhanced strength, I'm assuming. Things like falling from several stories, getting hit with heavy objects like wooden planks, even taking blows with superhuman force do not affect him nearly as much as they would someone else. He's even shown that he can handle long exposure to toxic chemicals without it really taking him down. So as you can see, Buck, physically, he is very, very different from the Buck in Daredevil Born Again. But in ways of, I don't know how to say it, of viciousness, of seriousness, of, I don't know the word for it, but in terms of who he is as a person, you can see a lot of similarities between this Buck and the live action Buck. They do not care what they have to do to get the job done. They will do it. And they don't sit around and cry about it. They don't care who they have to take out. They don't. So that is Buck in Marvel Comics. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned something. And I hope you will like and subscribe because I drop a lot of different character breakdowns like this and also reviews, trailer reactions, just a bunch of random stuff that I like. And I think you'll like too. So with that being said, I hope you have a marvelous day.